Welcome back to another video, everybody. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a breakdown. Today, we've got a story that could change the future of the WNBA. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll see why some people are saying the league might not survive much longer. Let's get right into it. What if I told you that WNBA players just turned down a deal that would have made them millionaires for playing just 3.5 months of basketball? And what if I told you that by doing this, they might have just made the biggest mistake in sports history? Stick around, because today we're breaking down why the WNBA's future could be in serious danger and how one wrong move might bring the entire league crashing down. Let's start with the numbers. The WNBA's collective bargaining agreement is expiring in 2025, and the league offered players a massive raise. The maximum salary was set to jump from around $250,000 to over $1 million. That's a 4 times increase. But here's the twist. The players said no. Why? Because they don't just want higher salaries. They want the same percentage of revenue sharing that NBA players get, about 50% of league income. Right now, WNBA players only get around 9%. On the surface, that might sound fair. But here's the brutal math. The WNBA loses $40 to $50 million every single year. The league has never turned a profit in nearly 3 decades. If players actually got 50% of revenue, it would mean over $100 million in salary payouts, while the league is already hemorrhaging money. That would push yearly losses up to around $130 million. No business can survive that, not even with NBA subsidies. To push their demands, players staged a protest at the All-Star game. They wore shirts saying, "Pay us what you owe us." Fans even joined in chanting for better pay. But when the game tipped off, the whole thing backfired. The score ballooned to 117 to 109 because players weren't even trying on defense. The game looked like a lazy pickup run, and the internet roasted them for demanding more money while putting out less effort. And then there's Caitlin Clark. One rookie generated 26.5% of the league's economic activity in 2024. Her games pulled over 1 million viewers on average. She drove record ticket sales, and her jersey became the second best-selling in America behind Steph Curry. She was the WNBA's golden ticket, their Michael Jordan moment. But instead of building the league around her, they left her off the Olympic team, downplayed her impact, and even tolerated ugly incidents like her being body slammed during games. In short, the league sabotaged its own superstar. Now, some players argue they don't need the WNBA's money. Overseas, top women's players can earn $500,000 to $1.5 million in leagues across Russia and China. And the brand new, unrivaled 3x3 league in the US pays around $222,000 for just 8 weeks of play. So, when stars like Angel Reese say, "If y'all don't give us what we want, we'll sit out," they aren't bluffing completely. They do have other options. But here's the problem. Those international leagues, they're basically hobbies for wealthy owners or government projects. They don't follow American rules of profitability. And unrivaled, it's new and unproven. That money isn't built on sustainable growth. If the WNBA wants to survive, they need to look at history. Take Major League Soccer. Despite soccer being the world's most popular sport, MLS lost $250 million in its first 5 years and took over a decade to turn a profit. And even today, MLS players get about 30% of revenue, nowhere near the 50% that WNBA players are demanding. Then look at women's soccer. The NWSL just landed a groundbreaking new deal, but even their salary cap in 2025 will only reach $3.3 million per team. That's barely double the WNBA's $1.5 million cap. And soccer has a far bigger global audience. The lesson is simple. Growth takes time. No league becomes profitable overnight. And here's the irony. The WNBA is actually in the middle of its biggest expansion boom ever. Golden State paid $50 million to join the league. Toronto and Portland each paid $250 million. 3 more teams are already planned by 2030. On top of that, there's a $2.2 billion media rights deal kicking in by 2026. Sounds incredible, right? But let's slow down. That media deal is just $200 million a year, only 6.6% of the NBA's annual TV revenue, and with 60% of WNBA revenue already tied up in ownership structures and NBA subsidies, players won't see anywhere near the windfall they're imagining. Investors are betting on future growth, not current profit. Right now, the WNBA is spending more on charter flights, $25 million annually, than it does on player salaries, $20 million total. The NBA has been subsidizing this league for decades, covering 70% of its losses and pumping in $10 to $15 million every single year just to keep it alive. Without that safety net, the WNBA would have collapsed years ago. So, when players demand independence from the NBA while also relying on NBA subsidies, it exposes a fundamental contradiction. They want the money without the business responsibility. Here's something that often gets overlooked: the WNBA's public perception problem. Whenever NBA legends like Shaq or Charles Barkley suggest ways to make the game more watchable, WNBA players push back hard. Shaq once floated the idea of lowering the rim so players could dunk more, and players were offended by even the suggestion. But here's the reality: fans want to be entertained. The NBA grew in the 80s and 90s because stars like Jordan, Magic, and Shaq delivered highlight plays. The WNBA refuses to make even small changes that might attract casual viewers, and that stubbornness is costing them millions in potential fans. Let's go back to that All-Star Game protest for a second. Remember the "Pay us what you owe us" shirts? The problem wasn't just the sloppy play, it was that players weren't even united. Kelsey Plum admitted that some teams didn't even know the protest was happening. She even threw shade at Caitlin Clark's squad for not showing up. So instead of showing solidarity, the WNBA's protest exposed divisions between players. Fans noticed, sponsors noticed, and instead of gaining leverage, it made the league look fractured and unorganized. Here's the biggest trap WNBA players fall into: constantly comparing themselves to the NBA. Yes, NBA players get 50% of league revenue, but the NBA generates $12 billion annually, while the WNBA brings in around $200 million. That's not just a small gap, that's a completely different universe. By insisting on NBA-style deals, WNBA players set expectations that are mathematically impossible. It's like a startup company demanding Google salaries in its first year of business. The numbers just don't work. Here's the part players aren't considering: investors are paying hundreds of millions for WNBA expansion teams. Why? Not because the league is profitable today, but because they believe in its future potential. But if players push too hard, too fast, those investors could walk away. Who's going to pay $250 million for a team if they're guaranteed to lose money every season? That's the danger. Players might kill the very growth that could eventually lead to the salaries they want. And timing is everything. Right now, the WNBA has its first real surge in relevance thanks to Caitlin Clark, expansion, and record-breaking TV numbers. This is the moment where they should be building excitement, drawing in sponsors, and growing step by step. But instead, they're threatening lockouts, bickering over percentages, and rejecting millionaire offers. That's not building momentum, that's slamming on the brakes. And if the WNBA loses this momentum now, it may never get it back. Here's the brutal truth: the WNBA might actually be on the right track. Viewership is up, merchandise is selling, expansion teams are paying record fees. The foundation for growth is finally here, but growth takes time. The NBA itself didn't become wildly profitable until its third decade. And yet, WNBA players want to skip the grind and leap straight to NBA-level revenue sharing. The risk? If they force a lockout or push investors away, the league won't have a future to grow into. It's like pulling the plug on the patient just as it's starting to recover. And that wraps up today's breakdown on the WNBA. Honestly, this is one of the most complicated sports stories we've seen in a while. A league that's finally gaining momentum, but also one decision away from losing it all. So, here's my question to you. Do you think the players are right to fight for a bigger share? Or are they pushing too hard, too fast? Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll be checking them out and replying to as many as I can. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next upload. We've got more deep dives coming, and trust me, you won't want to miss them. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all the support, and as always, I'll catch you in the next video.